Good morning, students. This is class 6, module 5, steam nozzles. There is one small correction will be there. So, yesterday class, it is about class 5. Okay, just make a small correction. And today is class 6. Now, today we shall see how exactly the shape of nozzles would be there. Then we shall see how exactly the general form of nozzles can be evaluated, and we shall see small derivations on how exactly we can calculate or we can show the velocity of steam at the exit of the nozzle, and how exactly the small derivation regarding mass of discharge flow through a nozzle. Now, yesterday we have seen the brief introduction about the steam nozzles. What is the definition of steam nozzle? What are the types of nozzle we have seen? Then we have seen what is the effect of friction on nozzle. Then we have studied or we have learned what is supersaturation, what is a superheated steam, or what is saturation line. We have seen through the enthalpy and entropy diagram. Then we have learned how exactly the steady flow energy equation for nozzle can be calculated. So in this class we shall see how exactly the shape of nozzle can be obtained, how are the shapes can be obtained. If you see here, the shape of the nozzle, you can see there is a nozzle and there is a diffuser will be there. Okay. So nozzle, if I see, this is what the shape of the nozzle, and bottom shape you can see there is one more nozzle. So as the flow takes place, okay, so that flow is nothing but subsonic flow. Okay. So that is called as convergent nozzle. Okay. Bottom figure if you see, it is called as like divergent nozzle. So Mach number is less, so it is called as subsonic. If Mach number is greater than 1, it is called as a supersonic. Then what is this Mach number? Mach number, it says, it is the speed of the body, or it is the ratio of speed of the body to the speed of the sound in surrounding medium. So it is often used as a numerical like Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3, like that, to indicate the speed of sound, or the twice. If it is a Mach 2, it is a twice of the speed of the sound. This is called as Mach number. So if it is Mach number less than 1, it is called as subsonic flow. Then if Mach number is greater than 1, it is called as supersonic flow. Okay. So this is how exactly the shape of the nozzle can be obtained. So at subsonic speeds, Mach number is always then a decrease in area increases the speed of the flow. As the area goes on decreases, if you see the figure, the first figure, so as the area, what happens, decrease in area, okay, so increases the speed of the flow. That's what we are using, something like in rockets or aircraft, something like that. Okay. Then if it is if in supersonic flow, second figure, if you see Mach number greater than 1, the effect of area changes are different. Okay. So that is what the Mach number or shape of the nozzle it will indicate. If you see the figure, okay, how exactly, so high pressure it enters, okay, then low velocity will be there. So as it enters, that region is called as subsonic flow. So Mach number will be less than 1. So there is a throat, pressure drops, velocity gets increases. So it is called as a supersonic flow here. Okay. So that's what we are using this concept in case of, okay. where exactly supersonic flow should be obtained, especially in case of rocket engines. Got it? So this is brief, like idea about how exactly the shape of nozzles will be provided. How exactly the variation of the fluid velocity with flow area. If you see the diagram, okay, so variation of the fluid with area, okay. So pressure temperature decreases, then volume and Mach number gets the increase. That is the mass, okay, gets increases. So so it is called a subsonic nozzle, okay. Then bottom side it is called a supersonic nozzle, okay. Then this is called as something about diffusers, okay. This is what exactly the variation of the fluid with flow area. Next we shall see uh, what are general forms of nozzle passages. How exactly this, like velocity, specific volume, area. So when area increases, okay, what happens to the volume? What happens to the specific volume? Let us see the general form of nozzle passages. So a nozzle is an element whose primary function is to convert the enthalpy, a total heat, into kinetic energy when the steam flows through a suitable shaped nozzle from the zone of high pressure to at low pressure. Its velocity and specific volume both will increase. Okay, so its velocity and specific volume will both will increase. So the equation for the continuity of mass may be written as m is equal to, you know this equation, AV by V, where A is area of cross section of the nozzle, V is the velocity, and V small v is the specific volume. So if you see the figure, general form of the nozzles, okay. So in order to allow the expansion to takes place properly, the area at any section of the nozzle must be such that it will accommodate the steam whatever volume and velocity may prevail at that point. Okay. So as the mass flow is same in all sections of the nozzle, area of cross section A varies as V by V. So in equation, area of cross section varies, okay, as that is capital V by small v. Okay. The manner in which capital V and small v vary depends upon the properties of the substance flowing. Hence, the contour passage, whatever the passage that is there, it will be contour passage of nozzle depends upon the nature of the substance flowing. What type of nature? That is either if you are using air or if I am using liquid. Okay, it depends upon the substance. Okay, that is how it varies capital V to specific volume. Suppose if I take a liquid, okay, consider a liquid, a substance whose specific volume remains constant. If it in case of liquid, what happens? The specific volume small v remains almost constant with change in pressure. Therefore, the value of V by V, capital V by small v, will go on increasing with the change of pressure. Okay. So, therefore, from figure, if I see from figure 1 illustrated, the proper contour of longitudinal section of a nozzle suitable for liquid. Okay, figure 1 if I represent, okay, there is a proper contour of longitudinal section of a nozzle suitable for a liquid. This also can represent convergent nozzle for a fluid whose particularly both velocity and specific volume gets increased here. Okay, so the rate of specific volume increase is less than that of velocity, thus resulting in increasing value of V by V. That is what the first figure it represents. If I say figure B represents the correct contour of same or some hypothetical substance for which both velocity and specific volume increase at same rate. So there, so that the ratio V by V is a constant at all points here. Okay. So the area of cross section should be therefore be constant at all points, and the nozzle becomes a plain tube here. If I see, if you see the figure 3 here, represent divergent nozzle. Okay. For a fluid whose particularly is that capital V by V. Okay. Capital V by V decreases with a drop in pressure. So here what happens? Velocity by specific volume decreases with drop in pressure, that is specific volume increases at faster rate than velocity with drop in pressure. So the area of cross section should be increased as the pressure decreases. That is what it happens in case of the figure C. Okay. Now the fourth figure it shows, if you see here, shows the general shape of convergent and divergent nozzle. Just I am differentiating the nozzle. Okay. So figure 4 shows the shape of convergent divergent nozzle suitable for gases and vapors. Okay. So convergent divergent nozzle, it is suitable for gases and vapors. Okay. So while velocity and specific volume both increase from the start. Okay. Velocity and specific volume both increase from the start. So velocity first increases faster than the specific volume, but after a certain critical point, you need to understand what is that critical point. I'll try to explain. Okay. So velocity first increases faster than the specific volume, but after a certain critical point, specific volume increases more rapidly than velocity. Hence, what happens? A value of capital V by V first increases to maximum, then decreases. Okay. Now, if you see the figure, okay, so whatever this is for a nozzle, okay, whatever the percentage that is there, it is varies from 14 percentage to like 15 percentage if it is friction. Okay, because of more friction will be there. Normally, the efficiency of the nozzle it may varies from 14% to like 15% here. Okay, so this is the general discussion of what exactly the the general form of the nozzle passages. Now, if you see the nozzle passages when there is a wet steam, okay. Now, if you see m is equal to AV by V, that is AV by XVS kg per second. Okay. So here is A is cross section area, V is velocity of steam, Vs is specific volume dry saturated steam meter cube per kg, X is dryness fraction. If dryness fraction is there, okay. So V is equal to X into Vs. This already we have learned in like BTD and ATD also. Okay. So if you see the figure, okay, this is convergent divergent nozzle, okay, and there is a converging nozzle. So as the mass of the steam m per second passing through any section of the nozzle must be constant. Okay, the area of cross section A of the nozzle will vary according to the variation of V by X Vs. Okay, as the mass of steam per second passing through any section. Okay, what happens? So there is a equation. The cross section, the area of cross section of nozzle will vary according to the variation of V by X Vs. That is okay, product of A and V by, it is product of A and V by X into Vs is constant. Okay. So if the factor V by X Vs increases with drop in pressure, the cross section area should decrease. Hence a convergent shaped nozzle. Okay. So the decrease factor of V by X Vs with the pressure drop will require increased cross sectional area to maintain mass flow constant, and hence the divergent shape nozzle. See the difference? If the factor V by X Vs increases with drop in pressure, the cross-sectional area should decrease, and hence convergent shape is used. The decrease factor of V by X Vs with a drop in pressure will require the increased cross-section area to maintain mass flow rate constant. Hence, we are using divergent shape. Just try to understand. Just I'm trying to explain just the shapes. That's all. Okay. What is how exactly the passages of mass, velocity, okay, etc. Fine. So this is regarding what exactly when it is a dry saturated steam is used. Okay. Now the nozzle which first converges to throat, then diverges. So as we have seen in figure like 2, okay, this is figure 2. Then okay, is termed as converging diverging nozzle. It is used for high pressure ratio. Understand? Because in coming derivation, I'm trying to explain what is this critical pressure ratio and high pressure ratio. Okay, a nozzle which converges from throat and then diverges. In previous figure, second figure, it is termed as converging diverging nozzle. It is used for high pressure ratio P2 by P1. Some form of nozzles finish at throat and no diverging portion is fitted. This type of shown in figure like second figure is known as converging nozzle. In this, the greatest area is at the entrance and minimum area is at the exit, which is also the throat of the nozzle. This nozzle is used when the pressure ratio P2 by P1 is less than 0.58. This pressure is called as something about critical pressure ratio. Okay. So again we are going to derive what is exactly the critical pressure ratio P2 by P1 is equal to some relation we are going to derive. So if I use converging diverging nozzle, it will be called as high pressure ratio. Then if I use the figure only converging nozzle, okay, whatever the pressure ratio it is there, it is called as critical pressure ratio. Fine. So that is what you need to understand, the critical pressure ratio. Okay. After knowing the brief idea about the passages of nozzle, okay, then we shall move on to the how exactly the velocity at the exit of the nozzle can be calculated. Okay. So if you see the figure, there is convergent nozzle and there is a divergent nozzle, there is a throat and there is entry and exit will be there. So let us find the relation velocity of steam leaving the nozzle, that is V2. If V1 is the velocity at the inlet and V2 is the velocity at the exit, if P1 is the pressure at the inlet and P2 is the pressure at the outlet, okay. So as the steam enters through the nozzle with high pressure and low velocity, initial condition, that is P1 and V1. So V1 will be very small compared to V2, okay, because it is having low velocity. So V1 can be neglected, okay, and leaves at high velocity. So V2 is only considered here. So the final velocity or outlet velocity of steam can be founded as, let V2 be the velocity of steam at the exit, H1 with the enthalpy of steam, H2 with the enthalpy of like steam at the exit, HD, it is heat drop. So yesterday I was explaining what is that heat drop. There is a drop in pressure of heat. Okay, if you see the figure HS diagram, enthalpy entropy diagram, if P1 is the pressure line and P2 is the pressure line, so what happens? High pressure enters into the nozzle. Okay, so suddenly pressure drops. Pressure drops from P1 to P2. Also the heat drops here. Small like there is a drop in heat, that is called as heat drop. Okay, HD. So 1 to 2. So H1 minus H2 is called as something about heat drop here. Okay. So considering 1 kg of steam flow to be frictionless adiabatic, we have gain in kinetic energy is equal to adiabatic heat drop. So whatever the gain in kinetic energy is equal to, because from entrance to exit, kinetic energy goes on changes. So gain in kinetic energy is equal to adiabatic heat drop. Okay. So therefore, gain in kinetic energy V2 is the kinetic energy can be written as okay V square by 2, or we are considering V2 here because V1 is neglected. So is equal to HD. The equation can be written like this, or V2 square divided by 2 into 1000 is equal to HD, because the why I written 1000, because here units are not matching here. What is that units are not matching? If you see left hand side, the V2 is in terms of meters per second. Okay. If you see right hand side, it is in kilojoules or kilojoules per kg. Okay. So the unit should be nearer. I cannot say unit should LHS will not be is equal to RHS. It should be closer. Okay. In order to satisfy the conditions, in order to satisfy the equation. Okay. So unit should be closer to enough. So that's what I'm making here. So left hand side I'm making 2 kg. So one term, or this term I'm making, or I'm converting to kg here. That's what I written 1000 here. 2 into 1000. Got it? So here also kilojoules per kg. So here kg is there, here kg is there. Somewhere I have brought, okay, so nearer to, okay, or somewhere I have balanced the units here. 100% it not balance, but that criteria should be satisfied here. What criteria? The units criteria of both left hand side and right hand side should be satisfied here. So therefore, you should multiply with 1000 such that here also kg is there, here also kg will try to come into picture. That is what units are very important. Fine. Okay. I'll repeat. Here meter per second will be there. Here kilojoules per kg is there. Units are equations are units are not balancing. Not to balance the units, okay, you have to multiply by 1000 such that it should be closer enough to balance the units here. Fine. Therefore, V2 can be written as 2 into 1000 HD. That is uh, uh, that is V2 is equal to 44.72. Okay, root of HD here. Okay. So this is what the velocity of the steam at the exit of the nozzle. The equation goes like this. That is V2 is equal to 44.72. Now, if friction is there, if there is loss of due to friction, some losses will be there. So that loss factor can be considered as K here. Okay. Therefore, V2 is equal to 44.72 root of K H D. Okay. Already I told you where K varies from 10 to 15% heat. If this equation says there is a loss of friction, K is the friction factor here. Now we shall see the brief relations about how exactly mass of steam discharged through the nozzle can be calculated. Okay. So already we know the equation M is equal to like A V2 by the specific volume. So here, because lots of V1 and V2 will be coming, I'm making some small changes here. I'm taking, instead of V2, I'm taking C2, velocity instead of velocity at the exit. I'm taking, in place of V2, I'm taking C2, because lots of, like, in order to vary between the velocities, okay, I'm taking C2 factor. C2 is nothing but the velocity at the exit. Just small changes you can consider. Okay. You can write V2 also, no problem, but lots of V1 and V2 volumes or velocities are coming here in coming relations. So instead of avoiding confusion, I'm taking C2 here. Fine. So therefore, M is equal to A V2 by specific volume V2. Okay. So let P1 be the initial pressure of steam, V1 be the like initial volume in terms of meter cube, P2 is the pressure at the throat, volume at pressure, V2 is cross section area at throat, and C velocity of steam in meters per second. So steam flowing through the nozzle follows the equation, because as the steam flowing through the nozzle. So following equation will come into picture. The PV raised to n is equal to constant because I am taking adiabatic. So PV raised to n is equal to constant. Okay. Therefore, n is equal to 1.135 for saturated steam, n is equal to 1.3 for superheated steam. Okay, n is equal to 1 point. This is for wet steam. This is we can calculate from Dr. Zenner equation. Dr. Zenner equation says we can calculate the n for wet steam. Okay, already we know the values for 1 point, n is equal to 1.135, n is equal to 1.3 for saturated and supersaturated. But for calculating for wet steam, we have to use Jenner equation. Okay, fine. Then work done per kg of steam during cycle can be written as this equation we have learned in basic thermodynamics. Okay, so work done during polytropic process, like polytropic process, adiabatic process, isentropic process, we have seen certain process. So work done, because it is following the law PV raised to n is equal to constant. So work done kg of steam during cycle can be written as n by n minus 1 into P1 minus P1 V1 minus P2 V2. Okay, or it is in terms of specific volumes also we can write. So gain in kinetic energy is equal to adiabatic heat drop is equal to work done during cycle. So therefore that is C2 square, otherwise you can take it as V2 square also. Okay, so because lots of V1 and V2 will be coming here, so now to differentiate between that I have taken C2 here. Okay, C2 square or C square divided by 2, because it is a kinetic energy, V2 square by 2, don't get confused. In previous velocity of steam at the exit of the nozzle I have taken V2 there, same that is V2 here. Okay, so therefore gain in kinetic energy is equal to C square by 2 is equal to n by n minus 1 P1 V1 minus P2 V2, n by n minus 1 P1 V1 into P1 V1 I can take common. Okay, call that as equation 1. Because we are following the law, that is P1 V1 raised to n is equal to P2 V2 raised to n. Therefore from this V2 by V1 is equal to P1 by P2 whole raised to 1 minus 1 by n. Call that as equation B. So therefore from this we can calculate V2 V1 into P1 by P2 whole raised to 1 by n. Call this as equation C. So putting the value of V2, that is equation B, in equation A. Okay, putting the value of V2 by V1 in equation A. So normally we are getting C square by 2 n by n minus 1, 1 minus P2 by P1. Okay, P1 by P2 whole raised to 1 minus n, n by n minus 1 P1 V1 1 minus P2 by P1. Okay, if you do the, so power source and basis can be some rule 1 minus 1 by n. Okay, so next relation n by n minus 1 P1 V1 1 minus P2 by P1. If you do the simplification n minus 1 by n, C square is equal to 2, you can take it, that's it, 2 into that equation, or C is equal to it will become a square root. Fine, so call that as equation D here. So if m is the mass of steam discharged, m is equal to, I taken AC, A is cross section area throat, C is velocity, and V is V2, small v2 it is specific volume. Okay, therefore m is equal to A by, okay, so V2 you substitute from previous relation, that is equation C. So from equation C you substitute V2. So V1 into P1 by P2 whole raised to 1 by n. So square root of that equation. Okay. So again if I simplify that one, so take P1 by P2 inside. So A by V1 into P1 by P2 if I take inside. Okay. So the relation it will become that is 2 into n by n minus 1 P1 V1 P2 by P1 whole raised to 2 by n. If you do simplify, you will get that relation. Therefore m is equal to A by V1 square root of 2 into n by n minus 1 P1 V1 P2 by P1 whole raised to 2 by n minus P2 by P1 n plus 1 by n. This equation says we can calculate the mass of steam discharged through the nozzle. Okay, so this is how we can calculate the mass of steam discharged through the nozzle. Okay, So in next class we'll learn. Okay. So what is the concept of the critical pressure ratio? Okay. Already we have explained that critical pressure ratio. So next class we shall see the derivation of the critical pressure ratio across the nozzle, and we'll solve some small simple problems. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.